Okay. Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. This is an emergency alert. I repeat, emergency alert. And I'm entitling this a peace and safety, sudden destruction, emergency alert. Okay, that's what we have going on right now. And this is based on the video that I released, I believe, 2 days ago, called Prophetic Updates, Weather Events Fulfilled, but also prayer points. And if you guys don't know what prayer points are, that's just the word, that's just used to describe a certain area or point that needs to be prayed on. So inside of this prophetic update, weather events, and prayer points video has a part 1 and part 2. It's the one with the house and the storm behind it. And then the other one has like a weather radar system with like a weather cyclone on it. Not that many people probably saw those videos, which is a shame because there was so much important information in there. And I feel like the deeper and deeper we get into the strong delusion, people's ears are closing up more and more. But then when the consequences show up behind that, people are suffering unnecessarily. I'll put it that way. Because they just don't want to listen. And it's not just about unbelief. We already know unbelievers are not going to listen. It's no use in us even stressing ourselves out. It's to be expected. They're unbelievers for a reason. They don't believe. But I feel like the church in itself is in a peace and safety delusion right now. That's what we're in. Not that's what will come one day. We're already inside of a peace and safety delusion. Everyone is comfortable, asleep, lazy, and hard-headed and hard of hearing right now. And because of it, all these sudden destructions that are occurring, it's not just one sudden destruction that's going to happen. I keep trying to express this in my videos over and over and over, but prophecy has layers to it. So it can be fulfilled over and over and over in waves, in several different ways, until it hits that final meaning or the final fulfillment. So we already have sudden destruction, and many are not escaping because they want it to be in peace and safety, shut down, and they want it to feel good and believe that we're in peace and safety. We are not inside of a peace and safety environment. Even though Jesus Christ gives us peace and protects us and makes us safe, unfortunately, we are injected and we are living inside of an environment that does not have the protection of Christ. That's the problem. And even in the church, many believe that they are completely right with Christ or where they need to be with him. They're assuming that they're in peace and safety with Christ, but they're not. Without getting too much further into that, I want to start off going back to the video I released 2 days ago. And guys, when we give these, me and Minister Paul, give these specific areas, specific warnings, or specific instructions for things to pray on, we are to immediately, not later, because we're talking about sudden destruction. We're to immediately, at this point in the hour what we're in, we need to be on our faces and on our knees crying out to God. We have to immediately pray over that situation Not just for others, but you need to pray for yourself. And you need to pray that the Lord will cover you in your household and your loved ones, okay? And there's many people out there assuming I'm a Christian, so I'm good to go. Nothing's ever going to happen to me. But guess what? Plagues have already began and being poured out. People think because the Antichrist has not stood up in Jerusalem and said, I'm Jesus, that everything is peace and safety. And that since that hasn't happened yet, we don't have to worry about anything. And we're going to be raptured before that happens. So until then, it's peace and safety. But yet, sudden destruction is already coming upon us. A very clear example would be, and we take these warnings for granted. We think they can go in one ear and out the other, and we can go about doing what we want to do. But sometimes the Lord gives them with enough time to prepare and to pray and to gather up what we may need. But sometimes it's sudden destruction. Going back to when Minister Paul warned, where was it? Massachusetts in a Boston area, New England. But when he gave that warning, it was barely even 48 hours later, they were already hit with that mega storm. And so as you can see, we're talking about sudden destruction. Okay? Too many complacent, comfortable people thinking we have so much time. Yeah, that's a warning. Yeah, judgment's coming. But, we're not taking into account we're living in the sudden destruction days. Okay? Suddenly. That's what Jesus said. As a woman in labor pains. Suddenly. Also, suddenly is unexpectedly. Okay? And that's why we're constantly being caught off guard and unprepared. Because we don't know what hour we're living in. We keep looking at those prophecies for a future event that most of which we aren't going to have to deal with. Okay? But while we're saying we're not going to have to deal with it, we're already under attack. While we're saying the Antichrist haven't stood up in Jerusalem for that picture-perfect church, 50, 60-year-old church doctrine, that's off of a movie set, because we keep saying that hasn't happened, so we don't know who the Antichrist is, and we just don't know. We don't know anything, just like the world. We have no idea of anything until it already happens, and even when it does happen, we just still won't be here for when it does. But as every day that goes by, as we're saying that in our peace and safety, we're already being attacked by the Antichrist. We're already being attacked by the beast. Man-made plagues are being released. People are dying. Children are dying. You don't think out of 30 people, any of these people were Christians? They probably felt in peace and safety also. Okay? This is a sobering message that we need to be alert, on guard, and spiritually prepared, because we're not. I can tell you that for a fact. And this article right here, we haven't even reached the peak of the season yet. The season has just begun, and this is an entire epidemic across 49 states. Okay? The entire country is in darkness. This is from a vision that I had, excuse me, I want to say maybe a couple of months ago. I wasn't really making videos on YouTube back then, all like that, but I'll share it with you guys now. But I shared it on my Facebook. And as usual, A lot of the sobering, hard-hitting messages are ignored. But I shared that I seen this was months ago now, the entire map of the U.S. was completely blacked out in dark pitch black. I've seen it gray or smoky, but I never seen it this black before. You guys know what that means? This is the covering of God is being taken off when you get to this level of darkness. That means he is walking away and turning his head from protecting you and keeping you safe. Now, I'm not talking about the bride of Christ or those that are prepared. I'm talking about the nation in general as a whole. Okay? So I seen everything was blacked out, the whole thing, except there was only a few. And when I say a few, I mean only a handful of states that were in all pristine white. Okay? And it was, I don't want to get specific to have people following specific instructions saying, oh, I'm in the state she said, I'm good to go. But it was in general a few of like the central or heartland. That was what was in my spirit. A few of the heartland states. Okay? Now, this doesn't mean go move to those states. This is really about spiritual preparedness. If you're spiritually unprepared and not where you need to be with Christ, it doesn't matter where you run to. You're not going to turn out well. I'm not saying he's going to let you die or nothing like extreme like that, but certain things can affect you if that covering of the Lord is not completely over you. There's a such thing as being partially covered, not covered at all, or being covered to a certain extent, depending on where you are with the Lord. Okay. So, as I was saying, there was only a few, don't take this literally, but in general, like a few heartland states that were in white, and white symbolizes being set apart in holiness. That means God is covering that place. Okay? And it's also can be symbolic of a concentration of holiness and prepared people in that place. But other than that, everything else was black. There was maybe a little tiny bit of white. I couldn't see specifics, so I'm not going to add and start giving specifics because I wasn't given specifics. So I'm not going to start naming off states. I'm just giving you guys a generalization of what I was told. It was in a general way. But there was a tiny little speck of white over on the East Coast, and then a little tiny speck of white over here towards the West Coast, okay? So a very small portion on the west is covered, completely covered, and completely protected and spiritually cleansed and prepared. And then the concentration is a few states in the heartland and then a little bit on the East Coast. Okay? Other than that, everything else was in complete darkness. And so because of that, all of the things that the beast is currently doing, that the Antichrist is currently doing against you, wake up. Okay? How many more of your kids have to die from their lab-created diseases, from their man-made weather events? You're already being attacked. He is already attacking the world and attacking the church. It's not a future event that's not going to have nothing to do with you. So we can be completely covered and protected while in the midst of it, because the flood is already started. We can't stop the flood. We can do a lot to lessen the effects of it. We can do a lot to intercede for others, and we can do a lot to prepare ourselves so that we are completely covered and protected. But as far as what's happening outside of us, we can't stop that, and we don't have control of it. It's already started. The only thing we can do is get right with the Lord, in hopes that he will keep us covered and protected while being surrounded by the flames of the furnace. Okay? This is the verse the Lord gave me concerning the man-made weather events. There are attacks. These are weapons. Remember, Minister Paul said it was going to be a bomb and a terrorist attack to come on to Boston. Okay, and the bomb cyclone. They're not conventional weapons. See, we're only waiting for one type of thing in one type of way. We're only looking at modern tanks and nukes and military weapons like that, which, yes, that's gonna come. But guys, by the time it ramps up to that point, things are gonna be already so bad. And lots of things are gonna be made into weapons, weaponized. Just like the diseases have been weaponized. You're already at war, church. Hello? This country is already under attack. The world is already under attack. The beast is already attacking us while we're in peace and safety. But anyway, concerning the man-made weather attacks, it's part of Revelation 12:15, when the serpent or dragon spewed water like a river. These are all the weather events, the floods, the bomb cyclones, the winter hurricanes and the hurricanes, to overtake the woman and sweep her away with a torrent. Okay? That's part of the attack against the woman or the church. And it can be many different things folded into that. But as far as we're concerned, it's also Israel, but that's a war taking place on another front. And Israel is also all over the world. The Lord is going to regather Israel from the four corners of the earth. So therefore, Israel has been scattered across the earth. So when we say Israel being under attack, and Israel, only a portion of Israel is there right now. And that's a country, a place. But as far as the people, they're all over the earth. So all of these attacks, weather attacks, plagues, hurricanes, earthquakes, and unnatural disasters, he's trying to kill and destroy Israel and the church around the globe, okay? Moving on. I felt like I needed to clarify because I don't think I properly explained when I was giving the warning in this video that people need to prepare for this winter. Building up on top of Minister Paul's prophecy regarding we're not prepared or ready for this winter. So I wanted to clarify a few things. The preparation should be done if you are in specific areas, not just for this, but in the future, so you know, when there's a specific area mentioned by either Minister Paul or myself, both of our track records are already out there and proven. So it's up to you whether you trust us and can see our fruits, our proven fruits, or not. It just is what it is. But so, and the reason why I keep mentioning him, because I'm not going to just tack on this person and that person, and the Lord has not verified or shown a record or told me or shown me to work, advertising this ministry and that ministry. And that's not to say that there aren't other good ministries out there. There are. It's just that as far as what I'm called to do and what I'm authorized to do, I don't know how everybody else runs their ministry and their walk, but I only do what I'm authorized to do by the Lord, by all the lessons and things that he's taught me and maturing me. So if he continues to keep mentioning one specific person, or that's just who he's yoked me up with as far as ministries goes, then that's what I'm going to keep doing. And I'm not going to add to that or take away from it. I'm just not. But continuing. So if he gives a specific area, either one of us, If you live in that area, you are to immediately begin praying. And I mean sincerely and seriously for yourself if you live in those areas. Even if we don't yet know why the warning's going out, just pray for yourself, your household, begin covering your loved ones, your children, your family, all of the environments you interact with, your vehicle, everything like that. And God is not a genie where we just get wishes from him. Along with that crying out and requesting for protection, we also need to be sincerely repenting. All of us has something no one is just completely void of anything to repent for. There's always areas that we're struggling with and always areas that we can improve spiritually. So we need to be repenting first and foremost and seriously reconnecting with Christ. Whether you're being warned of an area or not, all of us should be at lightning speed right now trying to race towards this goal to reconnect with Christ sincerely and repenting. It's a lifestyle at this point. It's not something you just do when you're in trouble or if you're in danger. We should be living every day with this mindset or in our hearts, praying for him to cleanse us, humble us, and purify our hearts. So when I just want to clarify, when I say prepare, if you're in these warning areas, first and foremost is spiritual preparation. All right, that's the goal we're working towards every day. But then when something specific comes up, you specifically pray about it, cover everything, cry out to the Lord. And then after that's done, you can have faith and take a breath, and feel at peace. That's fine. Okay, it's not meant to stress us out or have us living in fear. But at the same time, you have to find a balance. It's about also taking it serious and responding accordingly. So that's number one. Then, number two, after that comes the physical. This is wisdom. You always need to have at least a day or two, if you're able to, of clean water on hand, even if you can't afford anything else but water. That's the main building block of life. You need to, even if it's just from the 99-cent dollar store, everyone should have at least 1 to 2 gallons of extra water that they leave in storage and they never ever touch. Whether everything's perfect or not, that's just common sense and wisdom. So I feel like, especially when these warnings go out, you need to make sure you have at least a few days worth of clean water on hand. And minimum basics above that if you can. Okay? So without getting into specifics about what those minimum basics should be for you, even something as simple as a loaf of bread, 2 gallons of water in case you're just trapped in the house from one of these storms for a few days or something like that. Okay? So minimum basics, but before you go beyond that, I don't have all the answers. So beyond a day or two worth of water and minimum basics, you have to, and that for you, that could mean gas in your car. I really don't know. This is all about us reconnecting in a personal relationship with the Lord. So if we haven't released any other details beyond those minimum basics in water, you need to ask the Lord if there's anything else needed before acting. Don't just go out, run out on your own accord, buying up all this stuff. Okay? So this is upon the Lord's leadership. Number 3, we need to pray, not just waiting until a specific area is mentioned, but right now we're in a season of preparation. We're not prepared. That's what the Lord told Minister Paul. So we're in a season where we're getting prepared. So right now, we're supposed to be praying that we are mentally and emotionally prepared for the possibility of seeing or being here for more events than we realize. That's one of the, I didn't clarify in the video. I wanted to make sure I clarified. One of the main ways that we're not prepared is mentally and emotionally, because we think not one single speck of anything bad is going to happen before we're raptured. And so because of that, and because of this peace and safety delusion, we aren't prepared when stuff like Texas, they're slipping and sliding all over the road. They've never had to deal with ice and snow, and now they're getting killed in car accidents, and things are freezing, they're freezing. When people aren't prepared because they're in peace and safety. Because they only have their eyes set on the rapture is going to happen before anything else starts. Trust me, I would love to come on here and preach to you guys sunshine and rainbows. I really would. And that God told me the rapture is going to happen any day and we don't have to worry about anything. I would love to come give that message. But honestly, he's never said that to me. So I'm not going to preach it to other people. The only thing he's speaking and preaching right now in this hour through me and lots of other people, if we're willing to listen, is become prepared. We need to get prepared. We need to, we're in a season of praying, a lot of repenting, interceding, spiritually helping and assisting others. War. That's really what he's saying. We're at war. Okay? That's really the message. Just because people aren't getting beheaded yet, we think peace and safety. We're just saying, oh, that hasn't happened yet, so the beast isn't here yet. We won't know until it's all exposed to the world and it's all happening in the streets and we aren't going to be here. That's false. Now, I'm not a post-rapture person. I'm not trying to say that we're appointed to wrath and nothing like that. Only thing I'm trying to say is before the actual full-on flood, the flood didn't just happen with a snap of the finger and all of a sudden the whole world was flooded. It was a process. The rain started. Then they boarded the ark. And even once they were on side of the ark, it was a process it took for the rain to accumulate up enough to where the flood was covering everything, to where they even had enough water on the surface of the earth to even sail on to their destination to flee and get away. So it's a process building up to that final, we're sailing off into the sunset rapture moment. The storm is going to start before then. The rains are going to start. So right now the flood has already started. It just hasn't reached that ultimate 100% peak level yet. Okay? And Jesus already told us that's what we're to compare the days of his coming to. If we look back at Noah's days, it wasn't sunshine and rainbows and not one single raindrop fell on the ground until they instantly sailed off into a sunset. It was a process building up to that. And even once they were in safety and protection and covering from the outside world, they had to wait in there for an amount of time in that covering on earth until they sailed off into the sunset. So now I want to highlight the specific areas, kind of summing everything up, because I know it's a whole lot of information coming at you guys. So I want to kind of summarize from both me and Minister Paul's ministries right now, the places that are on high alert and already under instructions to do these preparations. Okay, so we have the entire United States is to be on high alert and moving towards those preparations. Okay, but specifically, who has already been called out and mentioned specifically is California, the state of Georgia in the United States, surrounding southern states. When I say surrounding, I mean the ones that surround Georgia. Okay? and the states known as quote unquote the South, basically the warmer states in the United States. These are the places that don't usually get these storms and bad weather and floods to this magnitude and ice and winters. So they are unprepared. Now that it's happening, they're completely taken off guard and unprepared, and therefore they're suffering because of that unpreparedness. So if you're in one of these places, California, where it's always all this sunshine and rainbows, those are the places being specifically called out to prepare for the exact opposite of what you would normally have to deal with. Okay? Because we aren't living in normal times. And the United Kingdom. The European Union, you're on high alert and should be making preparations in general. But specifically the United Kingdom and then European Union nations as well. Even if things stabilize and become normal, you are to still have these preparations in place and live in a season of preparation because more can be on the way. And then, of course, you guys will just have to stay tuned to see what else and what other details for the future the Lord may pour out. And this is specifically, we don't know how long this is going to last, but we already know from what Minister Paul said, this is specifically for over the next few months or the remainder of the winter months. And then we'll just have to wait on the Lord if he's going to tell us, that it may be extended beyond that or not. We just really don't know how this is going to play out. So, and if you can even see, I warned a month ago, European Union reckoning. The Lord had me interpret everything and get out there and share that it's a reckoning coming. And I even went through giving you a Holy Spirit weather forecast, letting you know, not just the first time our prophecies are fulfilled. That's just the first wave. These things can just keep coming and coming and coming over and over and over. So a month ago, I warned all of these things were coming to the European Union. And now we have in the United Kingdom, and then I warned again with the asteroid, Georgia. I warned Europe again. So now we have in United Kingdom, the winter hurricanes are so bad. The roofs, while they're at home minding their business, the roofs to their homes are being blown off the top of their houses. Okay? While many are in peace and safety. So I'm going to leave that right here for this part. There's just a few other things I need to add on, but I'm going to have to put that in another video, I think. Okay.